Okay, so okay,
Go to iRacing.com and then click purchase.
so Sig, here's the first thing that you need to do. Let me just so let me just get in
We're about to grid.
yeah, no, but I can grid with you guys while you're okay. So you can't see my mouse, but whatever. You got garage at top right, garage options, exit, quit. So obviously in garage is where you'd have your setups. Now, if you want to learn how to do setups, it's pretty complicated. For each car, iRacing will have a set of setups. Sometimes when you see the iRacing setups button, top right here, it'll say fixed setups. That's because you're in a fixed series, and basically the only things you can change are maybe your brake bias, front, rear, ARB, depending on the car. So shared setups, if ever you're in a session, you can share setups between people, and then you could go on shared setups and you see whoever shared setups with either the whole server or one person in particular. iRacing setups, for each car, they'll have a base set of setups, and they'll also often have a fixed. And the fixed is not like named. So like, for example, this car has base iRacing setups for a bunch of tracks, and it even has like a race and a quality set for a lot of those tracks. So Kansas. Now, if ever you like a fixed setup, you'll notice that if you do, say, a series that has both a fixed version and an open version, when you load into the fixed, it'll be the fixed setup, and when you load into the open, it might auto load, like, say, the summit point setup, right? So there'll be more than one set of the iRacing made for each. They won't exactly have the same fuel load. Like, those are things that you can check, but basically the fix is always called fixed. So if you like a fixed setup, then you might want to load into that track with the fixed setup, open fixed, save it as something, and then move on, because there's like a fixed setup per track. My setups is whatever setups you have, and then if you use Garage 61, you can have like auto sharing setups. So us with the Excelsior boys, we have a bunch of auto shared setups for cars, and like endurance stuff we do. So when we're doing an endurance race, it's like, yeah, I threw in Garage 61 and I don't need to do anything. It auto loads on my computer. I load into a server, I click on my setups, Garage 61, I've got my own, I've got my team ones.
Speed is 103 kilometers per hour.
Options, you can figure that out. When you're in a server, you've got the entries tab on the bottom left. When you're in a practice, a lot of people don't notice this. You've got this whole list of entries of people, and above the list, you're gonna have a little thing that says group or GRP with a little drop-down menu. So within a server, it'll split it up into groups. So if there's like 50 people in a practice server, it'll usually cap it at 25 people in group 1, and then it'll throw everybody else into group 2. So you might be like, man, I'm in the same practice server as Ace, why don't I see him on track? Well, look at the entries list and look what group you're showing under. And if your group is full and he can't move to your group, you can move to his group, or you could even say, hey, I want to be in an open practice and kind of compare my times with people that are practicing, but I don't want to run into people on track, or I'm learning the track. Go into groups, throw yourself in group 4. There'll be 0 people in group 4, but you're going to get all of the same track evolution, and you'll still get all the same info of the people on track. When you're in a race, you can check out your lap times and stuff, and switch. Right now my overlay's blocking it, but switch between the different parts of that session. Just turn sound down a bit, this is blasting. In results, you can just double click on a car if you want to look at them. You can also click on the icon of the helmet at the bottom, find their name. There's also pace car. There's a tab for most exciting, focus on crashes, focus on leader. So depending on what you're doing, if you're doing like what I'm doing, watching about explosive times, you can do that. The info tab is general info. One thing you might want to pay attention, at the bottom here you see Race Farm, East Ohio iRacing. So in the entries tab, you see your ping and the quality. If your ping is high, it's usually either because your internet is shit or because you're in a server that's like far from you. So, if you're in peak European times, and most of the people racing will be in Europe, therefore it'll put you in a European server. For the split, it'll put the server location wherever's closest to the most amount of people. If you're in a longer race and you're looking at the weather tab, these precipitation percentages are really just kind of general suggestions of what might happen, but don't take them for cash value. You're much better off looking at the radar. Now, when you look at the radar right now, there's nothing, so the loop is not showing anything. But the most important thing to remember is that the radar is going to loop, and the loop that it's showing you, the last point, is now. So you're only seeing, like, for example, the last hour until now, or the last 2 hours until now. So you're able to see the progression of clouds and kind of predict how the weather formation might change, when the rain might hit, how much rain might be, if it's going to be spotty or whatnot. But don't pay too much attention to the precipitation percentages. I mean, look at them, but don't take them for cash. The radar is a much better indicator for you to predict how the weather is going to go.
Fastest lap for Wood, 24.77.
I know my overlay is blocking some of this, but on the bottom tab, you've got buttons, you know, to pause, go faster, rewind, 8x, whatever, go back in time. And then there's this little toolbox, which you should see flashing because I'm hovering my mouse over it. So the little toolbox, you could say, hey, what the hell was this guy doing here? That was a dirty move. Open the little toolbox, clip. No, I'm talking to chat.
Oh.
Clip.
I was
Press
like, 'cause
play.
the 3 definitely did some moves.
Say, okay, I want to
Same guy
clip
from
that
the other
there,
night.
and then you could just press save, and it'll only save that little clip that you did, and then you can give it a name. So if ever you're like, fuck, I don't want to save the whole replay, just click this little toolbox, cut from that moment, and then when you get to the end of where you want to be, press save. Okay, back to racing. Let's watch our boy. When you're in the car. So, usually I race in VR, so this is super weird for me, but let me do something here for you. If you want to move your black boxes, you press Alt-K, and you'll notice a little thing that says use custom AG position for this car. So usually you want to check so that you can have it like by car. In VR, it makes a lot of sense because you probably want to fit it within the car in 3D in a place that makes sense and still have a lot of immersion. But you can just do that and then grab it and move it where you want. Okay, and then Alt-K again. In your relative, you can scroll up and down with the button that you set for up and down in your black boxes. So if you're like, fuck, that guy who's 5 positions ahead, how many seconds ahead is he? Or like, that guy who's a pit cycle off of us, how many seconds? Oh, he's 32 seconds up, whatever. So you can cycle through that. Really important to set your black box buttons for forward and back, because that's what you use for everything, for pitting, for changing things in the car. Like, you can set individual controls for each car, for your engine maps, your brake bias, and doing it within on your steering wheel, but you'll always be able to do everything from your black boxes. So always set your next and previous black box buttons. First black box, super simple, shows you what lap you're on, laps to go, the position you're in, current lap time, last lap time, your best lap time, and which lap it was. Here it's a good reference to see how many incident points to get a penalty and how many incident points to get a DQ, because that changes per series. So sometimes you'll get in a race like, oh shit, what's the incident limit? I got a couple of unfortunate moments at the beginning. Your standings tab, one thing that's cool in the standings tab is if you set, like I've got my D-pad set where I can cycle up and down with up and down, and I can increase and decrease with left and right. So if I press the increase button, it won't work right now because I'm not in this race, but it'll auto jump to where I am in the standings. So if you're in a race with like 40 people or 30 GT3s and you quality 22nd, you're like, fuck, where am I in the standings? You don't want to scroll all the way down. Just hit to the right for your increase and it'll jump there. If you're in a multi-class race and you go to this tab and you press that button, it'll cycle through the positions per class. So for example, in IMSA, you'll press the right, instead of showing you overall standings, it'll show you the GTP standings, and then the LMP2 standings, and then the GT3 standings. Your relatives tab, which is the next one, again, you might want to cycle up and down. In oval races, this is super useful for if you're pitting under yellow and you have some damage to serve, So you don't want to lose a lap, but you want to get as much damage done as possible. So you might be checking like, well, okay, where's the pace car relative to me by cycling through your relatives. Your fuel, auto fuel works well, sometimes fucks up, but mostly works well in the daily sprints. Team events, man, it's very hit and miss. So I really suggest that you just like pull out the calculator and figure it out. And then you can either have it on auto fuel or begin fueling. Windshield tear off does take 1 or 2 seconds to remove. So if you're just like going in for a fast repair and nothing else, and maybe remove that so you don't have to spend 1 or 2 seconds sitting in the pits. And then obviously that fast repair option for the Class D and the Class Rookie license races. Tires, this one, it's you just choose one to replace, but a lot of the cards is going to be individual, you know, front left, front right, that you can kind of cycle through, as you can see as it's being highlighted on the screen. Some cars will have different compounds. This car does, but not on ovals. So then there'd be another option at the bottom that you could go down to and then scroll to the right to change between alternates and primaries, softs, hards, mediums, whatever. Tire info, this is not going to update until you pit. So if you're wondering, well, how much tire wear do I have? This tire info is only going to update once you actually come into the pits and stop. So there's a couple of cars, not many, but some of the older cars don't do tires and fuel at the same time. They do fuel first. So then in certain races or endurance races, maybe at night, you want to double or triple cent tires, you can actually stop in the pits and see what's my tire wear, is it worth it to change them or not. But if not, whenever you stop. Another thing, whenever you stop driving, if you go back to your garage
2 litres remaining.
and you look at the tire information, you'll notice that you have last temps and tread remaining under the left, under the front, under the right for each tire. So you can either look at it in the black boxes, or you can get out the car, open your setup, and it'll show you what your tire wear was at the end of your last run. Now, if you came back out, did half a lap, and you know, transported to the pits, then it's going to be at 100 because it's only, or 99 because it's only considering that half lap is a run. Okay, tire info, pit stop adjustments. I'll be in there in a sec. Pit stop adjustments.
Yeah, get live.
These options will change per car. Sometimes you can change ARB. This car gives you front and rear wing offsets. GT3, you can change the rear wing. And if there's a time penalty for making that adjustment in the pits, it'll tell you beside in this black box. So for example, GT3 would tell you 10 seconds that it takes to make that change. And they can do that while they're doing tires and fuel, but it takes 10 seconds to make that change. In-car adjustments is all the stuff you can do in real time. Some cars have nothing. Some cars have a bunch of stuff. You know, an F1 car, you'd have your brake migration, your different engine modes, your MGUH, your MGUK, all that hybrid shit, like a million things. Other cars have less things. This and the oval version of the IndyCar, you have the weight jacker for that one rear right suspension that you can adjust. Like everything is per car. And graphics adjustments is mostly to fix your mirrors. I found this super useful in VR to get all the mirror angles like just right, especially that in iRacing it calculates your mirrors based on like where you are in VR. So if I move my head, the angle of the mirror changes. So you really want it to be set like perfectly like in a real car. And then you can change your FOVs and all that stuff here. There's also the FFB strength in these graphics adjustments. So sometimes from car to car, it's not consistent, or you're clipping, and you'll notice the clipping at the top right. The viewer counts are blocking it, but you have that LQEF shit. The F is the force feedback. If you're going into the red, you're clipping, so you want to turn it down. That force feedback strength will save per car. So if you set your M2 to 9.5 and your IndyCar to 4.5, when you switch between different racings, like those settings will be set per car. You don't have to worry too much about that.
Wow.
Radio, this allows you to choose if you're hearing other people and if you're transmitting. So you can see the highlights. I can take off spectators, I can take off drivers, and now if drivers talk, I won't hear them. So if people are annoying, I can just block them all off like that within my black box. And then on my transmitter, depending on what kind of session I'm in, I can transmit to teams. I can transmit to other drivers. I can transmit to all teams, or whatever. And you can also do that in the entries. If a guy's really fucking annoying, you're like, fuck, this guy doesn't shut the fuck up. Right click on his name. You can mute the user. You can also PM, private message the user, private message the driver, the team.
And not recommended.
Yeah, and if ever you're talking with somebody in voice chat here, you can do those same options by right-clicking their name on chat. And that concludes your beginner tutorial to the iRacing in-race UI. I think that was pretty complete. I went through a lot of things. If you have questions, you can direct them towards my Discord, which you should join. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. All right, how's the race going? P9?
Fine.